All right, so I want to go through the SSS. We're in Unit 9. This is Part 3 of the SSS, mass calculations. You can read the problem here, but what we have is a propane, so C3H8, and we're reacting it with oxygen. So this is a, what kind of reaction? Combustion reaction. Good if you said combustion. Bad if you said something else. And we have in it 96.1 grams of propane. So in the mole-mole relation 1 and 2 videos, we looked at the method of going from grams of your known, which in this case is propane, to moles, using the mole ratio to find moles of your unknown, and then to grams. And so the way this SSS is set up, they do the same thing here, and this is from the book, so this is how they teach it. But essentially, you're going to go from grams of propane to grams of O2, and that's the process. So that explains kind of this first part of the SSS. Nothing different than the way I taught it in mole-mole relation 1 and 2, but it does look a little different. So that's page 1. So let's go to page 2. All right, so in page 2 now, we have our strategy. We're going to start with grams of propane to moles, and then moles of O2 to grams of O2. So exactly the same as the GMMRMG path that I showed you in the last slide. So we first are going to start by converting propane to moles. You can see that conversion here. All right, so now we've done the grams of known to moles of known. So we've done part 1. Once we have moles of known, we're now going to go to the mole ratio. And so you can see here the mole ratio is 5 to 1. So that mole ratio, then we multiply the number of moles of propane by the mole ratio, and we get 10.9 moles of oxygen, which then, now in step 3, we have moles of our unknown, and then we simply multiply by the molar mass to get grams of our unknown. Okay, so very straightforward process, and we have our answer right here, 349 grams of oxygen. So what I would suggest, and I'm going to flip over to the next slide here. What I thought would be good is if we go through one of the problems on the practice quiz. So we're going to do practice quiz 3, number 25A. On the next slide here, so we have titanium tetrabromide plus hydrogen gas forms titanium and hydrogen bromide, or hydrobromic acid. So let's go to the next slide and take a look at it. So all we know from reading the problem is in our reaction here, we have 12.5 grams of hydrogen, since it's the bold one in the emboldened lettering, and we would need to find how many grams of each product we would make. Okay, so just again, like you're in the kitchen and you're figuring out how many cookies you can make, we're going to do the same process. First thing we need to do is check to see if our equation is balanced, and it isn't. So we're going to balance it here. If I look at the TI, I have 1 and 1, so that's balanced. Now we go to the next element from the left, which is Br, so 4 there. Only 1 there, so I'm going to put a 4 in front of the HBr. Actually, let's do this. Let's do it in red, so that's 4 there. Now we look at the H's. I have 4 H's there, only 2 there. So then we put a 2 there. And now everything's balanced, so it's 1, 2, 1, 4. Now, starting our process, again, we're going to go from grams of our known to moles of our known. So let's do that first. So 12.5 grams of H2. I want to convert that to moles. I know that 1 mole of H2 is 2 grams. So I set up my mole conversion that way. So grams will cancel and we get 6.25 moles of H2. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is go to the mole ratio. So for this, we'll just pick the titanium here. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So when we write our conversion factor for this, we know hydrogen's going to go on the bottom because we always put same units opposite each other, so they cancel. So moles of hydrogen goes on the bottom, and then this is going to be moles of titanium. And we can see it's a 2-to-1 ratio, so this is going to be 2 and 1. So this is going to come out to 3.125 moles of titanium. And now that we have moles of our unknown. So our last step, we want to go and turn moles of titanium to grams of titanium. So we're going to multiply titanium by its molar mass. So 1 mole of titanium, and then we find the molar mass of titanium, which is 79.8 grams, and we get our final answer of 249.3, that's a 3 grams of titanium. And so that's how you do it. Try some of the practice problems, especially before you jump into the practice quizzes, because there could be some doozies in there. So have fun. Let me know if you have any questions, and copper tomorrow.